Hey, it's Terry, and this is the Something Spooky review for Our House. Our House was released in 2018 by IFC Midnight and was directed by Anthony Scott Burns. There's no reported budget or box office for the movie. It's an independent production, but Wikipedia does report that it had cashed $17,032 in DVD and Blu-ray sales. I don't know what that means exactly, but I think it's interesting that it's reported. I found it because it's available on Netflix as of June 2020, and there was some chatter about it on social media, so I thought I would check it out. It has a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's only from 25 critic scores, so it hasn't really had enough critic scores to really, weigh that. And it has a worse score than that with audiences. So in essence, it is kind of a mad scientist haunted house movie, and it has coming-of-age family drama elements. It doesn't always work all together, though. It kind of feels like it's two different movies happening at once, and the parts never really align. A lot of that is because the scares, the horror, is very PG-13. It's pretty tame, and it can almost be seen in something like a Goosebumps book, which I like. I'm totally into that kind of horror. But then there are these very adult themes in the other parts of the story with, that deal with adulthood and responsibility and grief that would just be kind of lost on the audience that those scares seem to be designed for. So it just is at odds at itself in this weird way. The horror, like I said, is kind of shallow and outlandish. There are a few kind of scary moments, but not really. And it's all pretty, light, and it's not going to be anything that keeps you up too much. But then the effects, which is how it's all done, also vary in degrees because it's very effect heavy in its horror, and it's got a lower budget. You can tell it kind of looks like a TV production. And so sometimes the effects are pretty lame, but other times they do kind of make something cool happen with it. There's a few in particular that you could tell they probably spent the extra time or money on. They look really good, but it's just this weird unevenness in the presentation of the horror. Like I said, with the messages, I won't get too far into the plot, but basically it's about this family, and the parents of the family are lost. They die in the movie, and the oldest son, who is conducting these scientific experiments, has to then become the provider for his siblings. And so there's this coming of age element to it, and it deals with some kind of like heady adult themes in that way. But then, like I said, the horror elements that start to pop up feel very PG-13. So it's just weird. It's just drifting between these different feels, and like the most kind of serious, impactful parts of the movie really don't have anything to do with the horror. And that's why it feels like the horror terror part feels like this extra movie that's kind of happening at the same time or in the background. And they almost could have been two different movies. It's easy to see how this was maybe something joined together, or it just maybe isn't entirely able, it exceeds its reach, with what it's trying to do with both of these things. The elements of the movie are okay. The acting is sincere, but, it's kind of amateurish. Like, you can feel that they have a stake in it and that they are, passionate about their roles. But sometimes things just come across kind of weird. And I think a lot of that has to do with the script. The script has some also uneven, just strange moments where some things in particular just don't really make a lot of sense. And it's weird that they chose to do them the way that they did. And so I could see that being hard to work with. Overall, it's a fun movie. It's a cool central concept, what's going on, and the mad scientist angle of this device that is being created and plays a big role in all of the spooky goings on is kind of cool, and it feels a little like something we haven't seen in a while with the mad scientist kind of angle and empathizing with that. I mean, it's not clearly a mad scientist in any way. It's a modern setting with this young man who's inheriting family responsibilities, but ultimately that's what he is. And we don't see a lot of that anymore. And for it to be combined with a ghost story is kind of cool. But there's just all of these weird inconsistencies in the movie and uneven points. So even though I enjoyed it, I really can't recommend it with any confidence. I'm going to give Our House a D+. It has some fun ideas. I don't mind that I watched it, but it really kind of struggles to achieve the things that it wants to do, and has these uneven points that just make the movie feel a little disparate and disconnected from itself even. So I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, please like it, share it, and remember to follow Something Spooky. Thanks.